I knew that he was a radical Republican in the war. I didn't know much more about him than that. I knew that he was an abolitionist. When Stephen called and asked me to read the screenplay and if I would consider playing the part, I read the screenplay and immediately said yes. I'm just very happy to be part of that very fine undertaking. And I immediately began to look for biographies of Stevens. I think it was the right idea because it gives some focus to the character. It puts the character squarely in historical context. It's a good way to avoid the cliche of Lincoln, the cartoonish, old, honest Abe image. Daniel came to know that Lincoln was a country boy, not really all that comfortable in big cities, a brilliant lawyer, self-educated though he might have been, a poet, a good one, and monumental political thinker who didn't have a happy day every day within his family. And all those things are quite real. They're obvious. They're tactile in this movie, and I think that's a good perspective on history, particularly within the context of this struggle to get the 13th Amendment passed, one of the most important adjustments to our Constitution that's ever been made. But I do remember being impressed throughout how much I remember being impressed with thinking that is Lincoln. That's the Lincoln I want to see. That's a real man, and it is Lincoln. Sally's brilliant in that scene. You can see that she wants the White House to be a nicer place. She complains about its state of repair when she got there. She may be exaggerating, she may not. But the wonderful thing about Sally is that underneath her complaint about the living conditions in the White House when she arrived, and her protest of Stevens holding her back from decorating the house to her satisfaction, underneath all of that you can see the strain of living in that house while her husband prosecutes the war. Complicated by the loss of her own child, of course, has been very tough on this woman. You can see that clearly underneath the surface. Sally did a wonderful thing the day she played that scene. Stephen was very happy to be making this movie. You could tell every day. Every task that arose in the course of a day's shooting was a joy for him, and that's very creative, and it encourages other people to be creative too. It was very theatrical, very theatrical, transporting, with all that hair and all those clothes and that angular light coming through and the details. These people smoked a lot of cigars and chewed a lot of tobacco and were constantly spitting and lighting up and firing off notes to one another. And that feel of what the House of Representatives might have been like in the middle of the 19th century was a fascinating thing to see. That cane belongs to me. I acquired it in Buenos Aires in Argentina 2 or 3 years ago. I liked it because the head of it is a greyhound. And we, at the time, had 2 greyhounds that we were very fond of. We loved our greyhounds. And I saw an opportunity. When I learned that Thaddeus Stevens had a club foot and took a cane with him everywhere he went, I said, I have just the prop. and sent a picture of it to Stephen, or showed it to him, and he said, yes, that's a good cane. And so we began to use it, and it, after a while, took on a life of its own. So that prop comes from a beloved dog. I was very glad to see it. I was proud of the movie, of course, but I was, as a moviegoer, happy to see it. There was a sense of relief. I remember thinking, well, at long last, someone's got a truthful perspective on these important events. I think anyone can relate to it, not just young people, but anyone. It's an accurate depiction of historical events placed within the context of real life. And it's not didactic, but the first thing you learn is that great steps are taken by ordinary people. And ordinary people are not perfect.